So let's see. What is the challenge? Maybe we should go to okay. So I'm going to record the meeting as well in case some of you missed the class, right? So I will come back to wait. I will come back to the questions that you post in WhatsApp. All right, later on. So we'll try to go one by one, and I'll try to answer because I think you guys have posted very good questions as well. But you don't have to worry much about the final assessment. After all, it's just 40%, right? Or are you worried about that?
I'm worried, madam.
Sorry? You're worried about your final assessment. Don't worry, as long as you read and follow the class, right? Inshallah, you'll be fine. So for those who can't be in the meeting, maybe you can, I can give the link after this, right? So yeah, the purpose is that I think you need to switch off your microphone because I can hear my own voice. So basically, the purpose of having the vaccinating is that this is our last class, right? So I think it's proper to have one-to-one session rather than using WhatsApp only, so that we can try to clarify things as much as we can. All right. So let's see how many participants we have. Okay, we have 53 students, right? So I think do you think more are coming, or maybe we should start now because I do not want you to waste your time and data as well. Okay? Too much windy noise. Is it because of me? Or someone's forgot to switch off the phone? I mean the microphone. Yeah. Okay. Oh, okay. I just read. Madam, I cannot hear the voice clearly because I hear some rustling or wind, I think. Yeah. Switch off your mic. Yeah. And we can have Q&A after this, right? So if you are ready, maybe we should just start, right? Okay. It's clear. Now we are clear. Okay. All right. Assalamualaikum and good. Is it not morning? Good afternoon to everyone. I know this is going to be our last meeting before the semester ends. And of course, I need to brief you guys about what's going to happen for your final assessment since it's COVID time. So everything is different from the one that we are used to. Okay. So basically, I hope you have enough time to do your revisions and you don't have to worry much about my paper, as long as you follow the class, the lessons, then you'll be fine, inshallah. Okay. All right. So, um, all right. So let's see. Okay. So basically, for introductions to psycholinguistics, we have like 60% for ongoing assessment, and another 40% comes from your final assessment. It's supposed to be final examinations, but since we don't have final exam, so what we have is final assessment. More or less, it's going to be the same. Uh, you know, in terms of the questions, it will be more or less the same with the one that I have set for your, at the beginning of the semester before the COVID things. But I think it's just in terms of the method and time. Okay. So for the 60% ongoing assessment, you have conducted tests, 20%. And then you have done the critical review and case study and also poster, 15, 15, and 10, which covers 60%. So if you have completed the task, at least you already passed. Okay, you passed the subject, right? Inshallah. And then another 40% will come from your final assessment, which is an individual task. Okay, before this, because the instructions were not clear coming from the management whether we can actually, you know, uh, do the 40% as an assignment or not. Uh, uh, since new instructions comes, we need to assess you individually rather than in group work. So that's why, if you remember, I mentioned to you right after the simulation that we're gonna stick with the 60-40, just like the uh, normal normal outlines, all right? Except that in terms of the method, it's a bit different. So for the 40%, it's going to be final assessment. It's an individual task. Okay, right. So this is what going to happen. Uh, First, I'm going to talk about the paper. Okay, the final assessment paper. You will have two sections, section A and section B. Okay, for section A, you only have one question where you need to answer all, and it's very straightforward. If you read the notes given, it's about labeling and state of functions, and I think you can guess what kind of questions or which topics this question will cover. Okay, whereas for section B, you have 5 questions and you need to answer all in short answers and essay. And you will be given 5 hours, okay, because we are considering, we need to consider those who has internet access, difficulties of internet access, and in terms of uploading your answers and email it to me, okay. So uh, 5 hours, the duration. The test will start at 9 a.m. until 2 p.m., which includes uh, preparations and then until you submit your assignment. So you need to bear in mind, okay, your final exam will begin from 13 July to 26 July onwards. I have already a specific date for me, but I couldn't release the date yet until FBK release it first. So, okay, just in case it will be some sort of, um, what do you call it? Because they haven't finalized it yet. So maybe within this week you will receive the date for your test. But one thing that you can be a bit, lega, right? Is that one subject, one day only. Okay, so you are not going to sit for 2 papers in one day. So you don't have to worry about that. Okay, so make sure that you are early. Make sure that you set up your computers and everything early. And then don't forget to take your breakfast, because I know In the meantime, you can always munch, while thinking and while answering the questions. But yeah, you might want to, give that 5 hours to answering the questions only. And then read the instructions properly, okay? Read the instructions properly, okay? And you need to sign the Aku Janji form as well, which will be provided together with the exam questions. And you need to follow the conventions given. For example, in my paper, and of course, I've already put instructions, clear guidelines on the front cover of your exam paper as well. But just bear in mind that you need to type it using Microsoft Words document only, okay? And do not send me PDF because I prefer to have Microsoft Word so that I can make comments and make reviews on the left side, okay? Follow the conventions given, and then you need to email your document in Microsoft Word to my Gmail. The purpose of giving you my Gmail is that because you know what happened to Uniza's webmail is that sometimes it bounces back and sometimes it comes a bit late, right? I think due to the storage. So I think the safest way is to have like 78 scripts of answers, you know, sent to my Gmail. And I will prepare a platform as well on eClip so that you can upload your document as a proof. The first thing is to email to my Gmail, which is the link given, and I will put the link in the front cover as well. And then you need to upload to Clip, just like the way you submit your assignment before. The reason is that because we need to do backup in case you have difficulties to submit your answer. Okay. Okay, what else that we need to basically overall I can conclude that okay, this is going to this is what will happen, okay, during the date. For example, if your test falls on the 15th of July, for example, okay, um, before 9 a.m. or 9 a.m. Before 9 a.m. maybe around 8:55, I will upload the questions paper in your WhatsApp, okay, and then you need to refer to your WhatsApp, download if you, so I prefer for you guys to, to set your WhatsApp web immediately before you begin your test. And then download the questions paper and then answer from the booklet given to you. Not booklet, I will send you a format, okay? So use the format and then answer in that form and then submit to me before 2 p.m. Okay? Okay, and then also upload to Clip. So altogether you have like 6 questions. 6 questions in 5 hours should be fine. Plagiarism is strictly prohibited, meaning to say that of course we cannot monitor you guys from this, remote because both we are remote, right? So I cannot monitor. Of course, you can open your book if you want. Okay, but I purposely given 6 questions within 5 hours, and with that questions, I think it's a bit, it's about critical thinking and it's about applying the knowledge that you receive throughout these 14 weeks of lectures. Okay, so plagiarism is strictly prohibited. No copy paste from internet search because I will do plagiarism checking after that. And once if you happen to be caught plagiarized, automatically it'll be like 0 for that. Okay. So yeah, it's about being ethics and ethicals, and you need to be integrity. Okay. Mean to say that I cannot monitor you, but you know what you should do. All right. Okay. Do you have any questions regarding exam? Final assessment. It's not exam anymore. It's final assessment. Do you have any questions? Let's see on chat. Okay. So, uh, okay, madam, what questions for section A? It's about label and state function. Okay. Yeah. You'll be given a figure, but you don't have to draw the figure. Okay. You don't have. Just follow the instructions given, which is label and state the function. So I think you can guess from which topic it will be covered. Okay. So, uh, so I wonder why none, no. Madam, what about the marks allocations? What do you mean? It's 40%. Oh, you mean the breakdowns? Altogether is 70 marks, if I'm not mistaken. 70 marks is the total marks, and I will convert it into 40%. Okay. Can we refer to our notes? Of course, you can refer to your notes, but you need to, you can, because like I told you before, I couldn't monitor you. Okay. You can refer to your notes, but do not plagiarize. That's the biggest, uh, you know, um, thing that I will, the main thing that I will, the first thing that I will do is to check, to do plagiarism checking. Okay. Because, the tendency of copy and paste the answer is very high. Okay. So what else? More questions? No? Clear? Crystal clear? Okay ke? Faham tak? Are you guys okay?
Faham doktor.
Okay, faham macam very straightforward kan? So,
Doctor, can I ask one question, please?
yes, please.
Regarding the marks.
Mm-hmm.
So, how much? I think the previous question that you were trying to answer about the marks allocation is, she's asking how much does section A cost, like per question? How many marks?
Okay, breakdowns. You mean the breakdowns,
Yes.
right? Okay. Total marks is 70. For question section A is 20 marks. Section B, I have 5 questions, but of course, each question, I couldn't remember, but each question has different weightage. And from that, you can determine whether you need to do short answers or long essay. Not to say long essay, I mean answer in, long answers. Okay, for example, the last questions is like 25 marks, if I'm not mistaken. Okay. Um, okay.
Okay,
Alright.
thank
I
you,
hope it's
doctor.
clear. Alright. Okay. And I'll try to give you, to reveal the 60% by the end of this week. Okay. I will try my best because I haven't finished check your, week works coming because before it's just like normal examinations where I need to reveal the carry marks first, right, before you sit for your test. But I will try my best, inshallah. Okay. It's just that my biggest concern is for those who miss the test or critical reviews and then the poster as well, because I think those are the tasks that will help you out if you couldn't perform in your final exam. So yeah, you need to know yourself whether you have done well for your final, for your continuous assessment, or if you would like to score, I don't know, maybe A or at least pass the subject. So yeah. Uh, in terms of the nature of the questions, Section is very straightforward. It's about labeling and states the functions. Whereas for section B, you need to think. Okay, this is the critical thinking. Remember, I keep on asking questions during the 14 weeks of lectures, and then, what if this happened? What if that happens? Okay, what if you were put in these situations? Okay, those are, and I also shared some case studies you can use to support to support your answers in your final assessment. Okay, so yeah, okay. Are you okay with that? If you guys are okay, I'm going to proceed with the next slide. Okay.
Yes, madam.
All right. Thank you. So these are the topics that we have covered within 14 weeks of lecture. Okay. So you have introductions to psycholinguistics, basically about definitions of psycholinguistics, and then views. Okay. Remember we discussed about behaviorism, cognitivism, and even Chomsky's arguments about uh, brain, language, and whether they are associated with each other or not. So remember the terms of innateness, okay, innatisms, and then the universal grammar as well. And then on the second week onwards, we learned about first language acquisitions, where you had been introduced to the stages of language acquisitions among kids. Okay, first language acquisitions, and then you also learned about critical period hypothesis. So, what does the hypothesis say about learning language? What happens if you learn language beyond the critical period? So, are you going to acquire the language just like normal kids, or maybe you can and also some of the case studies or examples of we have Genie, Victor, right? The wild boy, um, about the learning language, and then um, you also be introduced to animals and language learning as well. We have Washu. Um, who else? We have Washu, the chimpanzee. What is the name? Coco. Yeah, Washu, Coco. Um,
Kanzi.
the parrot. Yes, Kanzi, and then the parrot. Alex.
Alex.
Yes,
Alex.
Alex. Okay, so maybe you want to do some sort of review on that part as well. And then after we finish with first language acquisitions, we move to the second language acquisitions, where we look at some theories and definitions. And then in the language, what does it mean? Uh, does our first language actually interfere our acquisitions of second language? And then we have the bilingualisms, two types of bilingualisms, which are simultaneous and another one is what?
Sequential, madam.
I'm sorry?
Sequential.
Sequential. Yeah. Okay. So you need to know the differences between those two types. Okay. And then the interesting part of psycholinguistics is on the brain, where you learn about brain, the anatomy, the biological foundations, and then you look at some of the examples, research, experiments conducted by neurologists and psycholinguists, especially on lateralizations and localizations. So, lateralizations, by doing that, it reveals what to us, or localization is to do what, which is to pinpoint exact place, right? Lateral for localizations, for whereas for the lateralization is to look at the differences between left and right hemisphere. Okay, and then we look at language, culture, and cognition as well. Okay, and then the post COVID, online learning is where we look at psycholinguistic mechanisms, the Baddeley H model, okay, what will happen once you receive visually or auditory input. So where does it process, okay? And then what if this patient has been hit, damage a certain part of the brain, okay? And then that is the psycholinguistics mechanisms and brain and language, of course. And we have meaning and representation is how we actually come up with meanings. We talk about inference, bridging inference, and then readings. Okay, we have the speed readings thing, how you interpret readings. With the readings is actually automatic actions or conscious or unconscious action by readers. I hope you can actually relate all the elements, all the knowledge learned, and try to relate everything together under psycholinguistics topic. Okay. Is there anything else that I might miss? You know? No? So we have like 64 participants. Okay. Okay, is everyone okay?
Yes, doctor.
Yes, doctor.
All right. Okay. If that is the case, let's have a look at the first question here. Wait, let me. Okay, so let's start with Alicia Sharzula's questions. Salam, Doctor. My question is for the last week's lecture, which is on meaning and representation. What is the difference between inferencing and predicting the upcoming words, just like what linguists need to do in speed reading? Is it actually the same thing? Well, do you think inference and predictions is the same thing? So, if people ask you to inference, what are the things that you do compared to predict? Is it actually the same?
You look at the facts.
For which one? Inference. Right. How about predict? How about predict?
Predict, we're not sure, but
We just
But
assume the.
I think it's kind of the same, doctor. That's why we are confused.
I think
inferencing and predicting.
for predicting it is assumptions.
Whereas for inferencing is not assumptions.
Those are,
Hmm.
I think inferencing is about relate to the previous information, doctor.
Predicting?
And predicting is like we assume the thing without relate to something.
Yeah. So it's quite ambiguous if you look at the definition itself, right? But once you know the difference, these are actually two different things. You inference and you predict. Okay? You can inference, you can predict the future. I mean, we have like predicting the future, right? But can you inference the future? Remember when you learn about science subjects, your teachers taught you how to do hypothesis, how to do inference, right? But not predicting in science. In science, we cannot do prediction. Well, we can predict something, but not scientifically used. I'm not saying that the word is wrong. It's just that for science, they prefer to use inferencing. Okay? This is because it has something to do with previous knowledge. Okay? Or you have some sort of past facts or information, and then you can infer. Okay, let's say if inference, you are given facts and information about these certain things, right? And then you will ask to inference. You will do it scientifically, okay? Scientifically talking. Whereas for predicting, you don't have to do some sort of using previous knowledge. It can be an assumption, okay, based on your own knowledge, okay, based on your own information. Right. So I hope it's clear. To Alicia. Alicia Sharzul asked questions. And then Aisha asked, I also have one question from the last week lecture. What is the difference between inference and bridging inference? Are they the same thing? So it's more or less the same thing. It's just that bridging inference is really focused. It's a focus, more focused compared to inference is a general term. Okay. Salam Madam, can you explain more about the topological models under the spatial representation? Okay, because I don't really get if there is no specific examples. For example, okay, when we talk about spatial representation, it's about space. Okay, for example, your schemata about a house, it needs to have a what? Bedrooms,
Kitchen.
bathrooms, kitchens, living rooms.
Living room.
What else? Yeah, living rooms. Maybe porch, right? Or some of you might have gardens or yards. Okay, those are your schemata. Okay, those are the spatial representations. A house needs to have those elements. Okay, but if you don't have, okay, for example, if you live in wild before, you never lived in a house. What was your first reaction when you enter the house? Imagine yourself, you are a wild boy or wild, girls who live in a wild before this. Okay, you just live in a very simple hut with no proper bathrooms, bedrooms, toilets, right? So, what was your schemata about a house? Excuse me. What is your schemata? Your knowledge, your spatial representations of the house. Once you enter to a bungalow, were you shocked or amazed?
I think I will be shocked
Yeah,
because we have because we haven't saw that kind of thing.
yeah. So basically, the spatial representation it relates to your schemata as well. Okay, another example. What else? So topological models is something that you have in your vision. You visualize. Okay, a house needs to have the elements of kitchen, living rooms, bathrooms, bedrooms, etc., etc. Okay. I think that's the nearest examples that I can give to Shah. Shah designer. Okay. I wonder why you put Shah designer. Shah the designer. Okay.
So, madam,
Mm-hmm.
topological models is like about the schemata, right? Because it
It's a
is
model.
spatial represent. It's a model. Okay.
It's a model. Topological ni macam kita visualize. Pernah dengar tak topological models of a mountain? Ataupun of certain area. Topological too is a 3D. If you search, it has something to do with 3D visualization. You visualize. Okay?
Okay. Understand, madam?
Alright. Okay, so can you explain more about the topological models? It's about your visualization under the spatial representation. So if you have different spatial representation or different schemata about what a house should look like, of course you will have different topological models. Okay, some of you might have two types of kitchens, wet kitchen and dry kitchen, whereas others who live in studios, kat situ lah living rooms, kat situ lah a very small corner of kitchen. Okay. Those are yang shape your topological models. Right? Okay. If you're okay, can I move to the next question? Okay, Fatima Sarah has like 4 questions. Good. Okay. I don't have in my slide, but I think you can refer to your phone, okay? Your because your friends post it here. I do have several questions throughout our learning, but as for last week lecture, my friends already asked the same questions as I, so I won't ask it again, okay? First question. How do deaf children acquire and learn language when their parents is also deaf, but only know the basic of sign language? How? Okay, deaf children acquire and learn language. Okay, when we talk about language here, does it refer to sign language or spoken language? Can you clarify, Fatin, Maisara?
If it's about the sign language, because they deaf children wouldn't like learn like the formal language, right? So they will only know about the sign. So how they communicate with their parents, which also have the same problem as a baby?
So, how do parents is also deaf but do not receive a proper education. You mean that? Is
Yes,
that what
yes,
you mean?
madam.
Okay, so
Yes,
they
yes.
only know the basic of sign language. I think this, uh, this family, they might have developed their own sign language, or if you can relate to normal people, okay, normal. We have idiolects, what we call idiolects. If you refer to sociolinguistic studies, idiolects mean to say that each individual is very unique. It's just like you have your own linguistic fingerprint. Okay, for example, some people, when they talk, right? For example, I prefer to use okay as a filler. Others like to use okay. Those are the idiolects. That determines the uniqueness of each individual. So in this case, I not to say I infer, I assume or presume, is that they have their own ways of communication, okay, which is not common with the standard version. Okay, remember that sign language, the American sign language and British sign language is actually a standard version. It's just like Bahasa Melayu or English. We have a standard versions of Bahasa Melayu and standard versions of English language. So yeah, we can have our own ways of communication. It's just that will be very unique to that specific family. Okay. All right. I hope it is clear. Fatin?
Yes, madam. It's
Right.
clear.
Okay. Okay. Now we move on to questions number 2. In FIA or FLA?
FLA, FLA. Sorry.
Well, okay,
First
it's okay.
language.
In first language acquisitions, the theory or study that asks whether children learn through structured input Okay, okay. Can you explain more about what kind of the structural input? Okay. First language acquisition what is there is a theory yang mention about this structural input.
Ada dalam slide madam. Sekejap.
Ada relate dengan parentis and motheris ke?
Yes.
Okay. Maybe what the structural input here is that we are not encouraged to use, when we talk using parentis or motheris, parents have the tendency to simplify things, but instead we are encouraged to use a very structured input, meaning to say that try to use full sentence so that the students, the kids can acquire it. So I think the structured input here mentioned about more structured versions of sentence rather than simplified version. Betul tak? Does it relate or different? Ke apa yang Madam cakap tu different?
Yeah, I think right. Wait, I see the slide.
Which slide is that? I think I need to and Madam, I'll try to open the slide as well. Which the first, is it this one? Your mother is too.
I think it's on the slide there. The first slide of the first lecture on first language acquisition, slide number 16 until 16. Mana dia ya Allah. Oh, 19. Slide number 19.
Okay. Okay, I think can you see the PowerPoint?
Yes, madam.
Right. So here, do children learn through structural input? Studies show that using I think adik parti Naida kot.
Oi.
Okay. Ada small babies, tak apa. Okay, so do children learn through structural input? Studies show that using motheris does not significantly affect the child's language development, meaning to say that if you use a simplified version, it doesn't really help the kids. So, we are encouraged to learn through structured input. Okay, for example here, dekat sini dia kata, dalam banyak culture, adults do not use a special style of language with children. And there are even communities in which adults hardly talk to babies at all because they think that babies couldn't understand us, so they don't really talk. However, children acquire the world, children around the world acquire language in much the same way. So meaning to say that motheris and parentis doesn't really work. Sekejap So, yang ni kan? So, the structural input, I think it refers to motheris punya ni, kata input.
Is it like the correct way we deliver the language, but not using like baby talk? Is it structural input?
Yeah, the structural input here refers to bukan simplified version punya motheris or parentis. It's just like normal way. Okay. So meaning to say that others, okay, for example, some people, I think I have shared a case study ataupun articles, right, with you guys before about motheris dengan parentis ni. Dia kata actually tak ada effect sangat pun using mother race and parent race. Because for example here kan kat sini dia mention banyak culture yang they don't really talk to babies, but in the end those kids, those babies can still acquire the language in much the same way. So structural input doesn't really, macam mana nak kata actually this brings to the arguments that we are born with a language acquisition device in our heads rather than you need to have an external input or even structural input coming kan. Ajar pun still dia tak. Yes, somehow ada a little bit of impact or kata effects on the kids, but in terms of the acquisition it's going to be the same way. Clear tak?
Yes.
Faham
Clear, madam.
Okay.
Because I think like baby talk and structure input like kind of same. So I feel like what kind of structure input we are giving to the children, right? But now I clear.
Okay, sebab in the end we the arguments here brings you to the being innateness tu kan, innatism. Yang sebenarnya kita memang ada a device in our head. And once you have learned about the biological foundation semua kan, so you know where the device is actually situated in your brain. Okay. Now moving on to questions number 3. In second language acquisitions, can you please explain back about the monitor hypothesis and input hypothesis? So let's open your recent definition. This one. So which part of monitor hypothesis dengan input hypothesis yang you tak berapa clear?
In the slide of interlanguage, madam.
Interlanguage?
Yeah,
Not this one,
Yeah, under the processing model, under the language processing models, I guess.
Yeah, I made a muka.
Alright.
It's a bit slow.
It's on slide 18, madam.
Okay. Slide 18. Is it this one? Interlanguage punya? Slide 18.
Yes.
So,
Madam.
apa yang dia kata? Okay. The monitor hypothesis. So, okay. Basically, for questions monitor hypothesis, okay, this is the diagram, okay, that you need to know, kan? The diagram. This is the acquired competence. Okay. For example, here, mana nak explain? Acquired competence is benda yang you dah acquire, the competency. Okay, for example macam ni. English language. I'll give you the examples of English grammar. Your acquired competence here is that you know that for plural verbs, okay, we talk about subject-verb agreement, SVA, subject-verb agreement. For plural, verb no S, but for singular, verb you need to add S. And then you know the formula, you know the kata apa? The knowledge step. And then throughout your learning punya apa? Process, kan? Learn competence. You belajar daripada your teacher or you know outside. Memang that's the rules. Okay, for subject verb agreement, that's the rules. For verb plural verbs without S, but for singular verbs you need to add S. Those is your monitor. Okay, kalau your acquired competence is tak clear, how are you going to monitor your output? Dia macam kalau you dapat kefahaman yang salah lah output. Kalau you dapat kefahaman yang betul, betul lah output you. Untuk the monitor hypothesis ni. Sebab tu dia kata, monitor hypothesis ni is a system that serves as a monitor. Okay? And hence
Madam?
alter the output. Yep.
And it is like a formal way we learn.
Not necessarily.
Oh, alright.
Okay? As long as the knowledge tu, you tahu, okay, this is the correct knowledge. Kalau you dapat salah knowledge, salah lah output you. Okay? And then there are three
So it's
conditions. Yeah, so it's what?
So it's like when we acquired first, for example, like you gave about SVA, subject verb agreement, and then we attend a formal class, and then we learn that what we have acquired is something wrong. So that's the part called monitor, right? So the output is what we
Produce.
we produce and the correct way, because we know that what we have acquired, there is something wrong. Is it?
As a guidance. Monitor tu as a guidance for you. Tapi dia ada three conditions lah. Time, focus on form or correctness. Sebab tu I bagi examples that relate to your grammar. And then you know the rules. Kalau you salah macam, okay, rupanya untuk ni aku kena tambah S. Kalau tidak, benda tu sebab tu lah yang jadi language errors tu. We don't call it, there's another word. Bukan kata that person is incompetent. It's just that language errors. They keep on buat errors tu without knowing that it's actually wrong. Okay, so monitor hypothesis ni, it won't happen kalau you don't have enough time and if you don't focus on the form of the correctness. For example, if you are nervous and if you feel nervous and then you don't have enough time nak monitor your output. Sebab tu yang jadi kacau bilau bila you produce the outcome or the output. Okay? And the monitor is intended to link the acquired and learned systems in the situations of the language use. And learn tu tak semestinya formal learning. It can be all sorts of but you know that the language, the rules is betul. Okay?
Madam,
Yeah.
for an monitor hypothesis ni, is this only limited for second language?
Yeah. For question, we talk about second language acquisition.
Okay.
Okay, language processing models. Sebab creation ni memang dia bina this one untuk second language acquisition.
Okay.
Not for first language acquisition. For first language acquisition, it has something, different the types of models that explain about first language acquisition. Okay.
I missed this class because I sprained my ankle.
Yeah. You sprain your ankle during this time, kan? Okay.
Yes.
Right.
Okay.
So now we move on to the input hypothesis. It's a supplement to the natural order hypothesis. So we talk about natural order hypothesis first. Natural order hypothesis, this is hypothesis. Bukan you kata, kena jadi macam ni, tak. So that's why we call it questions hypothesis. So hypothesis ni might be betul or might not be betul. Okay? So that's why we hypothesize. We hypothesize. Kita make hypothesis lah. Okay? It's different from inference. Kan? So for natural order hypothesis, ada certain elements you need to acquire it in a predictable order. Okay? For example, macam morpheme studies, okay? And then, dia kata kat sini, elements of language or language rules are acquired in a predictable order. Mana kata kita belajar pasal nouns, verbs. Dulu semua baru kita belajar pasal possessive pronouns, for example. Okay. So, for input hypothesis is a supplement to natural order hypothesis. Remember that we have the I plus 1 here. I is the current state of learner's knowledge. I plus 1 is the next stage. Input hypothesis dia tak akan berlaku kalau I plus 1 tapi 1 tu dia tak membantu untuk go to the next stage. Kalau dia still at that current stage, then it's not an input hypothesis. Okay? For example, the input a learner is exposed to must be at the I plus 1 level in order for it to be used in terms of acquisition. Okay, natural order hypothesis tadi mention about kita acquire things, for example, grammar, syntax based on orders kan. But now for the input hypothesis, you need to have extra input, the plus 1. I is your current stage. Plus 1 is a new input. With I plus 1 baru akan jadi acquisition. Faham tak?
So meaning like when I plus 1 happen, then is when you are required that knowledge.
Yep. Bila I plus 1 happen, baru berlaku acquisition. Kalau I try untuk buat plus 1 tapi tak gerak, tak berlaku, so it's not acquisition.
Is it like programmer, madam?
Programmer?
Yeah, like the can you give example, a more specific example?
Programmer macam mana? Computer programmer?
I don't really understand about the I plus 1.
Okay. Apa yang medium boleh relate lah? Okay, macam ni. Untuk pronouns, you have learned. Kita ada singular pronouns and plural pronouns kan? Singular pronouns kita ada apa? I, betul tak?
I, you, she, he, it.
She, it kan? Yang tu singular pronouns. Okay? So that is your current knowledge lah. Okay?
Yes.
Now you nak acquire the subject verb agreement tu. Okay. So now your plus 1 knowledge is where you learn the rules that for plural tak payah tambah s untuk verb. Tapi for singular you need to add s. Okay. Kalau you tak lepas that knowledge, the plus 1, you tak acquire the subject verb agreement punya knowledge acquisition. Tapi kalau you understand, for singular pronouns, I have to add s untuk verb that comes after it. But for plural pronouns, I don't have to add s. Then the knowledge akan berlaku. The input hypothesis will happen. The I plus 1. Tapi kalau you don't understand the subject verb agreement punya rules, how come you're going to understand why for singular kita kena tambah s, verb kita tak payah tambah s. Okay tak? The example.
Faham.
Here? Okay.
I understand.
Alright. Okay, question number 4. About the tutorial questions that you gave during language, thought and culture lecture, I want to know your opinion about the sexist language. Does it really influence the thoughts or attitudes of individuals who comply with these standards? Okay, the reason kenapa the APA system asks us to use a gender neutral, this is more related to sociolinguistic context lah. The gender neutral terms it has something to do with the, some people, they are born as a girl but they acknowledge themselves as a boy. So in an attempt to make to create fairness to everyone. So this is one of the reasons about the sexist language. Okay, and then but we can't deny the fact that the world is the one that shaped. Kenapa? Pink is always associated with girls. Tapi kalau boys pakai pink, just something is not right with the boys, right? The boys might be too girly ke apa kan? Why? This is because the world, the culture, the world that shape that kind of thinking. So the APA asks us to use a gender neutral, mana kata neutral kan, tak ada he or she, just for example, the study, the researcher, instead of using he, walaupun kita tahu the gender of the researcher is a male, so the researcher use this kind of method to blah blah blah, so that it becomes not a sexist language, it becomes neutral. That's why. So somehow the world is actually well, if we talk about sociolinguistics, yes, it can influence our thoughts and attitude. Okay, for example, if that person happens to submit a paper, this researcher is a female researcher, and then she submitted her papers to be reviewed by editors, journal editors, and these editors happen to be male editors. So because of the biasness, okay, being biased, somehow it will shape. Okay, this research is not that good compared to this male researchers yang buat yang for his perspective lebih bagus daripada ni. So in order to avoid that, that's why APA encourage people to use gender neutral. The same goes juga dengan the way we address LGBT, right? Because they wanted to be acknowledged as others, not male, not female, but others. Okay, if you notice, you need to read more about this, about outside world. It's not that common in Malaysia, but then we have a new, a movement now that try to fight for their rights. So yeah, language is very important when we address these people, because they don't prefer to being stereotyped. Okay, because they consider themselves as others compared to male or female, but they are others. Okay, alright. So I think it's almost time.
Thank you.
We have few more questions. Would you like me to stop first and continue for tomorrow? What do you think? Because I don't think it will be fair for your friends if we go straight like 1 hour lecture. Boleh tak?
Tuesday.
Are you guys okay if we stop first and then we continue tomorrow?
Yes, okay.
Continue
Yes,
during
okay.
tutor, madam.
Sorry, continue?
Continue during tutor tomorrow.
Yeah, during tutorial. I think it's
okay.
better. Okay?
Okay.
So, can you go with Webex meeting? Would you like to go with Webex meeting or just normal WhatsApp?
Webex will be right.
Webex, okay, because with Webex we can actually open
Slide.
even my face pun dah stuck dah. Okay, I think the internet here pun tak berapa bagus. Anyway, so we'll stop at Aisha's question, right? So remind madam, maybe we can start this. Okay, so we will continue with Aisha's question about aphasia tomorrow. Okay, inshallah. Alright. And if you have more questions, you can keep on, post in this this group. Yeah. Okay. Okay, I think that's all from me. Alright.
Thank you, madam.
Okay. Yeah, thank you. And
Thank you so much, madam, for the answers.
don't forget to sign your attendance. Okay.
Thank you, madam.
Okay.
Okay. And if possible, let's take a photo tomorrow, inshallah. Alright.